The Blue Jewel.
Chapter 3. Part 7. The Denka and the half-orc were fast asleep, so for a while the young woman could study them carefully. Gosberg stood out for her short silver-grey hair, a snout and hands that had fingers that hid, as it was said, the most terrifying of the Denkis, huge claws capable of destroying almost anything. From what was said of them, they were cheerful and sociable beings, but quite anarchic, so they rarely used to be used as soldiers, caused many problems of indiscipline, and as slaves. The Denkis used to prefer death rather than the loss of freedom. That was what he missed about Gosberg, who was a mercenary and to be Denka behaved acceptably but surely hid something under that appearance. Ordoni knew it or suspected it, that's why he was so intimidated by him. The young man was not human, or not at all. Now that I examined him closely I could see unusual things in him, such as the cheekbones a little protruding and large ears whose tips protruded over his manner. The skin had an ivory-colored sheen. It must have been mongrel. She had never seen except some corpse of some small troll to any extraordinary creature of great and varied that was the world. As little else could discover and were only speculations, the young woman decided to sleep a few hours too. At sunset Gosberg woke up. Despite his protests, Arian examined his wound. It was surprising was very well, the stitches were almost completely healed. Ordoni went up to tell them that everything had gone as Gosberg's wish, the corpses well hidden, no one would miss them in a few days. The mule and provisions were also available, and the best news, the Smugglers' Guild had accepted in exchange for the gold from the bag that they used the Shadow Passage. They would count as a guide one of the most expert smugglers. They would leave at dusk during the changing of the guard. That was when it was agreed that smugglers could do their business. Ordoni brought them something for dinner and they ate greedily. Then they gathered their things and prepared for the trip. They went down to the basement of the inn. It was a huge place, where the mule and the guide were waiting for them. The foundations of this building are very old, the innkeeper told them. Dating from the first era, all Ziris is full of caves, some natural and others artificial, but few know of its existence, as it is a very useful secret for our business. The three companions followed Ordoni through well-constructed and paved passageways. Here we are in the eastern part of Ziris. We are in the domain of the Smugglers' Guild, of which you are its Grand Master, added Gosberg. Ordoni remained silent and a cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He tried to continue as if that sentence had not been said. They saw how a figure appeared guiding a mule. We are under the forests of the Temple of the Sun. This is Ziar, your guide with your provisions. Perfect, my dear Ordoni. You have done what I have asked you very effectively. Gosberg was satisfied. Thank you, my lord. Your reward. Everyone was silent. Ordoni expected something that Gosberg did not intend to give him for good. This. What is my reward, sir? Stay alive. Everyone was stunned at the phrase of the Denka. Leave before I change my mind. Gosberg added a sly smile and stared at the innkeeper. Ordoni disappeared between the passages of the Passage of Shadows quickly and without looking back. Ziar was a very useful guide in the tunnels. There were hundreds of them that branched throughout the region, so he told them his guide some descended to the kingdom of the depths where some incredible beings dwelt that according to the legends were said to be older than the elves. But nobody has ventured into those tunnels for many centuries, or if someone has descended has not returned. After 6 hours they went out through a natural cave to a forest south of Ziris and near the mountains of the Lost King. Ziar had fulfilled his mission, but gave them the following advice. Go along the roads that border the mountains, they are the least traveled. The royal guard is concentrated on the main road and the northern border. Once you cross the Aguafria River you can follow the north road safely until you reach Tame. Beware of bandits in this area. They are dangerous and ruthless. The trio said goodbye to Ziar and headed towards a long journey south. Arian had harbored doubts about the Denkga's escape plan, but so far everything had gone according to plan. During the first day of the trip they barely made a brief stop, because Gosberg wanted to get away from Ziris as soon as possible, and it was not until late at night when they stopped to rest in the hollow of a huge oak tree. Agnorok prepared a small campfire, discovered with great pleasure the Denkga that Ordoni had prepared for them field bread, which was a stale bread rich in cereals that soldiers and smugglers ate in the course of their usual chores, as well as nuts, cheese, and a little wine. They dined around a small bonfire, Arian and Gosberg near the fire and Agnorok a little further removed next to the mule, which they baptized as Kiona. Arian fell asleep watching the half-orc clean his sword under the starry sky. Agnorok stood guard while his companions fell asleep. The half-orc closed his eyes and gave thanks to anything for still living in spite of everything. He thought again of that legend that his father had told him on a similar night and that he had never heard or read again, the chosen one of the gods. He was overcome by exhaustion and fell asleep. The next morning they had to undertake a long journey.